Where's her husband? Oh, he's away. He's away. What happened to her husband? What happened to her husband? Where is he? He's gone. One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bills.
Vince Coglianese, podcast host of Vince Coglianese Show, editorial director of the Daily Caller, with us now. You got some big shoes to fill after Bill O'Reilly. You got an answer for him on why?
On why it is that Trump would say that? Or does Bill O'Reilly want Donald Trump to change who he is? Is that what he wanted today? I guess he did. I mean, I'm not surprised, first and foremost, about the media coverage of Trump's remarks this weekend. And it comes at a really important time because the media is desperate for anything else to talk about other than Biden's brain lapses. Certainly the White House is. So they're going to get a hold of anything that Trump says and try and go after it. Now, Trump is the same person who ran for president in 2016. He's always been a little bit of a politician, mostly a businessman, certainly an insult comic, and somebody who's going to try and figure out ways to hit their opponent's weakness in whatever way he gets to it.
Vince, I get all of that. Here's my rule number one in politics, though, right? When your opponent is having a horrific news cycle, okay, after 8 years, he should know that the media is going to glam onto something, okay, that we've seen this play only about 1,000 times, okay?
Nope. Nobody's going to change it. Look, this is the guy who once suggested that Ted Cruz's father was involved in the assassination of JFK. He's just, this is what he's going to do. He's going to reel these things off on stage.
I get all that. I get all that. And I'm old enough to remember when you and I and a bunch of other people sat here and watched Donald Trump say that John McCain was not a hero, and everybody thought, oh, well, he's done after that because, the military vote's going to abandon him. Well, we all know how that worked out for us. So I'm not really asking that question. I'm asking for a guy who's as good at politics as Donald Trump is. Here's video of him with some Super Bowl cheerleaders he brought in at Mar-a-Lago. For as good of a politician as he is, why, when the media is finally covering the Joe Biden age issue that he had been talking about for years, why does he just say things, forget what they are? Why not let Joe Biden stew in the media coverage? Why give Joe Biden a life ring?
Well, he should. And by the way, I think that is some of the wisdom behind why he was kept out of the Republican debates, too. It was like, hey, look, let these guys argue amongst themselves. You're the front runner. There's no reason to dignify the rest of this race. And actually, the honest truth is he should do the same thing with Nikki Haley now. He's going to beat her like crazy in South Carolina. Even spending time on her is probably not worth his time. I will say that his remarks about NATO actually were much more, I think, important and also are totally being misconstrued by the broader press. Trump's not encouraging Russia to invade NATO. That's like the whole thing is so stupid. Trump is trying to talk about his success in getting NATO countries to spend more money on their own defense while he was president. In fact, Jens Stoltenberg, the NATO Secretary General, came out very publicly at the time and thanked Donald Trump for getting these NATO countries to pony up more money. This is just kind of the smash mouth negotiation stuff that he's become known for. And it was successful. So it was literally about building that alliance rather than tearing it down.
I understand the point. I think you can also understand how he should understand, of all people, how it's going to end up being played, right? I mean, we've seen this party before. The part about Nikki Haley, I'm confused by, right? Because he knows where her husband is. Everybody knows that he's serving overseas. What is there to be gained by that? Where is this going, you think, other than just forcing Nikki Haley to talk about Donald Trump rather than anybody else or anything else?
I think he's just annoyed by her and he's looking to take shots at her. I think that's all it is. I mean, she's still in the race. She's trying to say that he's not the right guy at this time. And so as a result, he's picking up any weapon he can possibly pick up. The part of that clip may have actually emanated from rumors that were reported over the past month that she was engaged in some sort of affair or something, and he's trying to make an allusion to it. Yeah. But regardless, again, I don't think it's worth dignifying her race because she has no chance of even catching him. She just got routed in Nevada. The same thing is going to happen in South Carolina, her home state. He should move on like he's the nominee because he is.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.